Hi all, it's Lace, and I'm here in Owl's Head. And while I didn't get my last spot that I had the last release, because a lot more Dukes and Lords of the Manors got to claim before me, I did find a very happy niche for me inside of Owl's Head. Now, some people are going to say, oh my goodness, I didn't get one on the main row, which is only about 8 or 9 or 10 lots. Guess what? They don't have much for sale. They're mostly just Uber Guilds advertising. So don't worry. What I did is I went around, and you need to think about this strategy and what you're doing. I am exactly 5 blocks due west. The auction house is right there. I think I've picked a very good location because not only am I very close to the auction house, we've got a lot of greenhouses going on here. Who knows what's going to be there? And I could have picked like a spot here. I think there was a spot over here when I tried to claim. There were some spots by the pavilion. And I said, you know what? I want a view. So I picked this spot right here. While off the beaten path, one of the things that I chose in choosing my location is no neighbors behind me. Yeah, I got a neighbor beside me, and the funny thing is, they put the same house up. So it's like, oh, we're almost like a homeowners association. But I don't have to look at anything behind me. My yard looks very good, and if I want to have a party, well, we're not limited to my lot because this is all my lot if I want to have friends over. So this is kind of why I chose this location. And for some of you, this may be kind of late in thinking about things like this and choosing your lot, but that's why exactly I chose this location. I could have chosen over here. I could have chosen down there, but I chose something where I basically only have one neighbor on one side, and that's not going to change. All these other people, I've actually heard people complaining in Nobles, oh my goodness, somebody put a junkyard beside me. Well, that's because you chose a lot on the main thoroughfare, and now the main thoroughfare is just basically an advertising area. It doesn't have really. That could possibly change, but that's just my opinion right now in Owl's Head. I do want to go into economy and stuff and how you choose lots and thinking about this. This may be late for some dukes, lords of the manors, and barons, but I want to talk to the common people, the people with villages, maybe some of the town people. A lot of the towns are scooped up, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I went the 5 blocks west to the public vendor from my house. Again, I think I've chosen a very good position. There was a couple of places back here I could have gotten, and I didn't want them. I wanted something that was very distinct that I could advertise on the public vendor. So if I hit the public vendor, Ronald here, and if I look, what I've done is, and this is how you should market yourself in whatever location you're in. Let's let him load. Let's see what we got. We can see I've done a thing, Laces Outfitting 5 blocks west. So now I have a very clear and distinct marketing plan. Now, as we've covered in other videos, we've said that, it costs money to list items. And what I found on this particular vendor in Owl's Head is if I list them at 12 gold, which is the minimum price to list something, what happens is this vendor is filling up its capacity, and people will yank all my 12 gold things so that they can actually list their items. So I tend to list them for, I got them at 9.99 right now, which means it does cost me about 100 gold to list the item, but it means that people are not likely to pay 999 gold for a piece of crap, which is basically my flyer. In addition, I'm only listing a few things for sale, like if I look at manage inventory, and again, if you don't know how to do this, you see this, and I put the red stall awning, which is now no longer available from the decoration vendors, and I put a stage, because these are things I know I like, maybe other people would like. Unfortunately, the price is a little high because it is a ton of wood, and plus I had to buy the recipe too, but it's quite a lot of wood. So that goes into how I'm advertising that way. There are a couple things to talk about marketing regardless of where you've decided to, place your home. And one is, like I've shown you, putting the flyer up on the vendor and listing it for an amount where nobody's going to remove it so that, you can actually, show where your stuff is. The second thing I did is today, and I tested this in Owl's Head. What I did was I went to /Z, and you may need to turn this on, or turn this on, /zone. If I look at my everything chat, and I think we kind of covered this in another video, but maybe not. If I look here, make sure you turn on your zone there. I think it's off by default, which is kind of odd, but that's how it is. And we're just going to go back over to here because I don't want all that spam. But I turned on my zone, and in my tab I went /Z, and in this chat, or in this chat area, I typed in a flash sale. Now what I did on a flash sale is I underpriced things that people might be interested in. It may work, it may not work. It depends on what you're selling. Now if you're trying to say I'm selling my enchanting abilities or my armor abilities, that's not going to work. You need to be very specific for it to work, because that's the point of a flash sale. Trying to advertise services like, well, I can craft armor and I can craft weapons or whatever. No, that's too broad. That's something that you could do in local, but if you do it too much, you're going to get ignored. If you do it in nobles, you're absolutely probably going to get ignored. But if you do something in zone and you're not spamming it constantly, it could be very effective, as I found out today in testing this. And I just said I had some diamonds named for my Diamond Fields POT, and I sold them very cheaply. Now, the thing about what I was selling is it technically cost me no money to sell diamonds. It was my time invested in harvesting them. Crafted gear, that takes bindings and metal and leather and cotton, or depending on what you're making. That's a lot of time spent. Plus the metal scraps to make the ingots and stuff. I don't really see flash sales on armor being very effective. What I do see being effective from town to town is going to be flash sales of raws. And that's exactly what I was doing. While you can, tell people about your enchanting services and they may friend you, because we don't have a way to put a note by somebody, it's a little bit difficult to remember that you were the person that told me that you do this for this amount of money for that kind of thing. So it's not real effective to sit around there going and spamming people. And I did see people doing this in the first week, going, hey, I can enchant armor, or hey, I'll make you this suit of armor, or hey, I'll make you this. Yeah, that's just not going to really work. That's just my personal opinion. It may work for you. You may get the odd walk by that has 30k to blow on a suit of armor, and good for you. But for me, flash sales on raw mats, I think, is a pretty cool thing to think about. So right now, regardless of how they wanted the game to build or not, Owl's Head seems to be a hub. Will this change over time? Perhaps, perhaps not. The Brittany places are big, and if you're a duke or something, a duke or one of the Lord of the Manors, you had a very limited amount of space to claim land in. Now, one of the disadvantages I see, and this is just me speaking from my heart, is these things are set up with these walls and stuff to a wall and run all this way to go see what you have on your vendor, when I can run down like Brittany, Brittany Alleys? It's tons of row houses. To me, that's where I want to shop, because there's like 60 vendors. Again, it's going to change. Let's take a quick tour through Owl's Head for the brand new players. From the main entryway, there was like 8 or 10, okay? So now I'm going around the side of here, and here's a lot of places that people don't look. There's a couple places there. Now, look, we got 8 row houses. Looks like all of them have been claimed right now, because people understand their value. If I keep going around, we're just on the back side. We're just on the back side of the pavilion here. And we're just kind of running around. And again, these are some of the spots I could have claimed, but I didn't think I could be distinctive enough in a flyer to say, I'm right behind you, dude. I liked being able to say 5 blocks west and not having any neighbors. As you can see, people are still building things. They may not be pretty to other people. Some people may like how some things are built or whatever. just to show what I'm talking about, Owl's Head is not the end all be all. It's actually going to end up having higher prices than other places, and you're going to find that in your crafting mats because there's so many crafters and so many big guilds here, and everybody's coming here. I've seen coal go up to 18 gold a piece, where it should basically be, I don't know, I think it's 4 or 6. I've seen wax jump up high, and it just depends because these Uber guilds are driving the prices up. I would say you probably don't want to craft here unless you already had bought the fuels. This is not a place to buy fuels. Um, and again, it's because the Uber Guild kind of ruined it because they've set up locations for their people, and it's not a place for you to go and craft. Find a different place to craft. That's just my thought. Sorry if I offend anybody, but it's just the truth. You guys are driving up prices, and nobody's going to want to be around you when you're doing that. Okay, so one of the last things I'm going to talk about in crafting and economy today is about I've bought a lot of recipes. I spent thousands of dollars, quote unquote gold, on recipes. Now, while I could list all these on sodawiki.net or something like that, I just know that third-party.coms are going to use them and then try to act like they're the big bad. Yeah, I got a problem with that. So I'm not ready to share my recipes, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like that, and that's why your third-party websites are not sharing the recipes, because they're trying to share them for their own guild purposes and try to overcharge people. I'm not saying go shop my vendor because I'm really just charging by the mats, not by the recipe. But that's what's going on right now, and that's part of economy and crafting that I'm trying to talk about. I guess if you asked me, I could give you the recipe if I already know it or whatever. But really, that's part of the discovery process instead of just going to a third-party website and getting it. And when they're ready to share it, well, then there you go. You'll see why my prices are pretty good. So we talked about lot selection and Owl's Head. Now I just zoned into Brittany Alleys. Now Brittany Alleys you might call the slum because it's mostly row houses. But guess what? There are more people per capita in row houses than any place else, and it's laid out very nicely for shopping. So everybody with these towns and cities and all these other things, they're also spread out. This is a great shopping district. While it may take some time to get established, the main thing is once you zone in, everything doesn't render. So all these people that think they did the right thing by claiming the near rows, not necessarily. And it's the same thing in Owl's Head. Those that claim the near rows in Owl's Head, they don't render because, that's just part of the natures of games. So keep that in mind. While some people think, something near the entrance is good, only if they're exiting. If they're coming in, they haven't seen you render, so they're probably blown past you before you rendered, and not such a good lot selection. And again, I didn't publish all this ahead of time because I just thought that these people that spent this money and wanted to do all this would understand that, but apparently not. I claimed a lot way down here, and I'm not saying I'm all smart and cute and funny and all that, but what I did is, right here's the public auction house, and I put my row lot deed right by it. Doesn't mean people will shop me, but it does give them a choice. And if you guys haven't seen these row houses that are the Viking, I think it's like a 4-story row house or something, look at this room. Now, there's a little bit of grass coming in here, and I need to bug that, but I kind of actually like the grass. But look at this room. If you row houses, they don't have a lot of room. So not only, and I'm getting a net error. I might be getting a new patch or something. Hold on, let me pause out and see what happens here. Okay, doesn't look like a new patch. And again, my stuff isn't placed or spaced or anything. But look how much room there is on this row house, this Viking row house. I'm not saying you need to go buy it from the store, but wow, it's got a lot of space. I go up to the second floor. Look how much space there is. None of the row houses have this kind of space. I think they've learned over time how to better design things like row houses and stuff, and and then we can go up to the top floor, and again, you could put like your bed or whatever in there. But I mean, it's a lot more room than any of the other row houses that I've ever personally looked at. Maybe there's one I'm not thinking about, but to me, this is probably one of the best values for your money. I don't know what the Viking row house costs, but it's absolutely good space for your money for a small piece of land. Um, in all actuality, because of the amount of land that you have here, I think it could suit any person's need in the game whatsoever. You have tons of room for crafting stations. You have tons of room for deco. I'm actually thinking of building a bar in here. I mean, it's that big. It's the only thing is no back door, but other than that, it's wonderful. Now, of course, the limitation on a row house versus villages. On a village, you can have two different vendors. On a vendor, there are item limits. So if you had two accounts, whatever. That's just going to depend on what you've got going on. A village you can put two. I'm only going to be able to put one here. They're only going to be able to sell a limited amount, whatever the capacity is. I don't even know what that is. Um, but that's going to be one limitation in a row house. But you've people that have not claimed yet, and you got a little row house hanging around. I think they're like $85. You do have to pay taxes on them. I think they're $500 a day or 500 gold. I think that's hugely a lot because that ends up being what, 15,000 a month. That's pretty big. But if you can afford that and find a way to swing it, you should come be my neighbor here. Because right there, public vendor. Now, all these other things in the red in this area, they're all natural, I don't know, NPC things, crafting this, crafting that. And the good thing is the bank is like directly that way. It's very close. The bank's very close. The only thing I haven't seen pop up in this town is a crafting merchant. I don't know if that's a flaw, because how can you have a town this huge and not have one? We'll talk about how huge it is in one moment. So I'm basically going to run right through this corridor here. I love the dogs that are around me too, because I like animals. Guys in my way, get out of my way. But I can cut through, and this is what I was talking about, is the banks right around here. I've got all these crafting people. I've got the town center square, and actually the bank is right over here. And again, this is just, directionally from my thing. My plot of land. There's the bank. You can see the sign. Um, but why on earth aren't there a crafting pavilion or a crafting person here anywhere? I think this is something we should bug, because I don't feel that just because it's alleys and row houses that we should be deprived of a public crafting station. So I'd like to have the community at large say that. Actually, what I'm looking for right now is a town crier, which I know he's like right around here somewhere. I'm looking for him. There he is. Okay, so if we look at how many things are available, and this is as was a Saturday the 6th, we can see there's 196 of 215 lots available. So this is a huge economy that can be, and I mean there's okay, well those are claimed. So we get past the claim, there's Rose, Watertown, Castle. There's a castle, for God's sakes. And this is in a Brittany area. Tons of rows, villages, villages, villages. There's a lot to be claimed here. Now, of course, after I've published this video, it's probably not true, but mostly it's all rows. But to me, a row economy is going to be huge, because it's going to be that 200 something vendors. You go to some place like Owl's Head and you got, what, 75 vendors? This is 200 vendors. You can shop here. This is actually the idea behind my own player hometown. I want to have vendors. I want to have people shopping there. It's not so much about living, but it's about shopping. So, while you guys may think because it just says the alleys and it's all row houses, people are going to have things to sell and they're going to sell them well. They're going to sell them better than Owl's Head. So, keep this in mind. At least that's in my thoughts, and that's how I see the player economy evolving, R32 and beyond. So take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.